Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for introducing yourselves in the chat. Good morning to some of our returning users and new users. Okay, I'm just going to do an audio check and hopefully everyone can hear me loud and clear. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for your responses. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change from this screen here to introduce myself. My name is Dewana McCreary, and I'm one of your presenters for this morning's training session. We also have in the training session today, Diana Terry. On behalf of PTD Technology, we would like to welcome you to the follow-up training for 2023-2024. I'm going to change over here to PowerPoint slides. We have a presentation on this morning from Iching Ye, and she is here on behalf of OCTE. So we'd like to say good morning to her, and she's going to take us through her portion of the training for this collection period. And then I'm going to come back and then we'll go through the technical portion. So I have allowed permissions for her. Yep. So whenever you're ready, Dr. Ye, you can unmute and you can.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. This is Chen Ye from the OCT, the Office of Korean Technical Education. So I'm glad you're here to work on the 2023-24 follow-up project. So just want to give you an overview of the follow-up training for both the new users and the old users, and how we did in the past years. And there are a few tips that you need to pay attention. So please go to the next slide. So the main purpose of the follow-up project we did every year is to collect one of our core performance indicator, the post-program placement 3S1, which is defined. Duana, maybe you need to click the slide to show the rest. Oops. Could you go back? Because they're missing. Whatever, to show you the definition of the 3S1, our post-program placement indicator, which is focused on our CTE concentrators who exited high school during the reporting year and also were in placement second quarter after they exited high school, which include the post-secondary education or advanced training, could be in employment or in military service or in any national and community service programs or in any Peace Corps volunteers. So you will see these in the follow-up survey questions in the follow-up protocol manual. So because the 3S1 denominator is for all CTE concentrators, so the high response rate of the follow-up survey is critical to ensure that the respondents of the follow-up survey can sufficiently represent all of the CTE concentrators who left school. And also the survey data are used in any variety of ways at both the federal and state levels. So at the federal level, OCT, the Office of Korean and Technical Adult Education from the U.S. Department of Education uses the data to show the impact of CTE funding to the U.S. legislature. This may affect the future federal funding. And similarly, MDE going to use the data to show the impact of the state funding of the CTE programs to the Michigan legislature. And also some additional data uses from uses of the follow-up survey data in the state may include the ranking CTE programs to allocate any cost funding, or program review consideration of the data to answering questions such as, are CTE concentrators finding jobs or continuing their educations in a related field? Could be used for your own like a CTE program improvement. Go to the next slide, please. So this slide, this table shows you the main survey results from the previous years. So as you can see, our eligible CTE concentrators increases from 21-22 to 22 and 23. And also here I want to appreciate all your effort that we can see our response rate increase a little bit and our proxy rate decrease a little bit as we expected. And the self-survey is a kind of online survey for the students who can fill the survey questions by themselves through, I think, a PIN number from CTEIS. And then their answers can be directly corrected into the CTEIS and saved in the CTEIS. So as you can see, about like 20% of our data are collected through the self-survey. And then you can see our overall placement, employment, and continuing education rate are stably increased through the last 2 years. So here I just want to thank you. Oh, I'm just reading the chat. Yes, so for the previous slide, I don't know why the bullet points are missing, but I think PDD gonna share this slide with you later. Next slide, please. So here I just want to notate the importance of the response rate. Like I mentioned earlier, since one of the main purpose that the use of the follow-up survey for one of our core performance indicator is based on the CTE concentrators who responded to the survey. So what we want to ensure a high response rate to really represent all the CTE concentrators. And also the value of the data collected through the follow-up survey depends on an accurate report of the status of all concentrators. So a good response rate is necessary to accurately portray all the concentrators in the state. And also, from previous validation studies have shown that districts with low response rate often underreport their placement rate because they fail to reach the students who were employed during regular weekdays. Next slide, please. So this is our most up-to-date low response rate. Okay, not a kind of requirement. A low response rate negatively affects building CPS and the state by reducing the accuracy of the placement information. So we want to ensure that a relatively high response rate to be represent all the survey students. So the institutions like buildings with low response rate below 80% may be found to be in non-compliance during a track on-site monitoring visit. And the district with one or more buildings with low response rate below 50% will be required to send a representative to the technical assistant workshop before the next follow-up survey. Next slide, please. And there are a few tips from how you can increase the response rate or better reach out the students. Like we mentioned, for any students who are employed, maybe try to reach them during weekends or off like business hours. So all these tips are, I think, summarized in the protocol manual. And also last year, we've PDD have done a survey, and the OCT also have a focus group talk with CPEDs and buildings who did a really good job on the response rate for the follow-up, as well as the proxy rate on the follow-up. So we have summarized all the good or best practices on the follow-up survey. So I believe that best practices for the follow-up survey response rate and the proxy rate are also available on the CTEIS knowledge page website. I think Diana might mention that later. So you can see how teachers, how the ISDs have some good strategies to do better job on the follow-up survey. Next slide, please. So this is a proxy rate requirement for the follow-up project. So buildings with proxy rate higher than 20, so we want the proxy rate as low as possible, because in a recent validation study, actually we have done 2 years validation study, and both showing the proxy responses are less accurate as the student themselves responses. So we want to lower the proxy rate. But we do allow some proxy responses because we know that it is really hard to reach out the students sometimes. So 20%, if you have a proxy rate higher than 20%, you will be flagged on the risk analysis and also receive a finding of non-compliance during an on-site track monitoring visit. Next slide, please. So this is a barcode that leads you to go to the most updated follow-up protocol menu that you can see the background purpose of the follow-up survey, and also the requirement for response rate, proxy rate, as I mentioned earlier. And also it shows you it guides you how to get the survey items one by one in very detailed. So this is also available on the CTEIS knowledge base webpage. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is my contact information. So if you have any question about the policy or about the follow-up survey items, anything about the policy, just feel free to reach out to me. If you need any like a technical assistance about the CTEIS system, you need to reach out to PDD. So thank you.
And we are, again, these slides are available for your reference on the knowledge base. So I'm going to now switch my screen. So you're going to see it close. And we're going to upload the agenda for the portion that I'm presenting today. So on your screen, you should see the CTEIS follow-up training agenda. Again, thank you for introducing yourselves in the chat. My name is Dewana McCreary, and I am one of your presenters on behalf of PTD Technology. And we're going to take you through all of the documentation for the follow-up training. Again, in the chat is Diana. Good morning, Diana. If you've already seen, she's linked the best practices document in the chat. If you want to take a look at that, we are going to show where all of this documentation can be found in just a minute. So the first item that we're going to do, we always like to go with our introduction and show you where all of our support resources and PTD contact information can be found, and that's on support.ctis.com. The next item that we're going to be talking about is the follow-up process overview. We're going to give just a little bit information to show you the follow-up collection and steps for success, and that is in our instructional guide. We're going to also review the follow-up packet materials that you should have received, and also, again, the guide is in that follow-up packet. And then we're also going to go over how to generate and review your follow-up listing. The next item that we're going to talk about is how to conduct the survey. And as Dr. Ye explained the protocol manual, we're going to review where the protocol manual can be found. The purpose and importance of the follow-up data collection can be found in there. We're going to give an example of these surveys and show you where you can access additional surveys to print their PDFs on the knowledge base. So we'll show you where you can find those. And then how to enter your survey data into CTEIS. The fourth item that we're going to do is to complete the report and submit. So we'll show as a building reporter how to review your material and then complete the report. And then we know that we transfer that information to the fiscal agent. So the fiscal agent review and then the CPIT submission. So we'll go through that process just as it is in other collection periods, but we'll review for this one. And then finally, all of the data that you enter in for the follow-up training collection, the survey results generate these reports, the XO 610, the XO 611, and then the T1608 reports. So we'll show you where some guides are that kind of breaks down what those reports offer, and then where you can access them once all of the survey information is collected for this follow-up collection. The last item that we like to do is just a reminder and looking ahead. We know that the expenditure report is the last collection period that we had training for, but just a reminder that fiscal agents need to submit to the CPIT administrator by November 2nd, and then the CPIT administrator needs to submit by November 9th to OCTE. And then the follow-up is the next collection period. The fiscal agent needs to submit to the CPIT administrator by January 11th, 2024, and then to the CPIT administrator by January, the fiscal agent needs to, the CPIT administrator needs to submit to OCTE by January 18th. So these dates are posted all on the knowledge base. Again, just a reminder. So I'm going to close this document again and switch my screen over to the knowledge base. So I'm going to go on a brief pause while I do that. So just a moment. So on your screen, you should see the homepage of the CTEIS knowledge base, and I have dropped the web address in the chat. So this is where all of the documentation can be found. If you've been in other training sessions, you know this page. So we're just going to kind of briefly just point out the information again. So you can use these links to link to the documentation on the knowledge base. This is the follow-up. This is the one we're going to be covering today. The dates are found on the far right. So this is the dates of the collection periods, just for your convenience. Again, all of the dates that are posted here are from the OCTE calendar. So if you have that calendar, it's the same dates. It's just here for your convenience. We're going to go to data entry, hover over data entry, and then select follow-up. This is the follow-up homepage. The first portion here is the support resources. Again, support and assistance. These are just documents to let you know that if you need help while you're in the CTEIS application, please feel free to contact the help desk with your technical questions. The email address is there, as well as the telephone number if you prefer to use phone. And it gives examples of questions of a technical nature. If you have reporting policy help, as stated earlier in the training by OCTE, you need to direct those questions to OCTE for policy. And again, Dr. Ye's information is here for the follow-up report. So her email as well as her telephone number can be found on this document. This here is just if this is your first collection period and you want to have more of a background of the CTEIS process, we have documentation here that you can download and review, but we're not going to go over that information today. I will point out that you need my login access to access the CTEIS, the CTEIS application when we go in to do our demos, and also when you need to enter in your follow-up data information, you do need my login. So this is just my login for CTEIS, just to make sure that you have your my login for third-party credentials so that you can access the application. And that's instructions if you need to still obtain my login access. This here is just the knowledge base documentation, just to break down what's available on the knowledge base. And then again, just another document for the current due dates for your convenience. The same due dates that's found in the OCTE calendar. This first section here, I'm just going to kind of break down what's on this page, and then we'll come back and individually go into these links. But this first section of information here is the reporting instructions. So your instructional guide, the follow-up instructional guide is here. It's a PDF. The protocol manual can be found here in this link. The OCTE PowerPoints that were presented today, we will make sure to make the change and get that posted, but you can find the OCTE PowerPoints on this link. The follow-up review guide for both the fiscal agent and the CPIT administrator can be found using these links. And this is the guides that specifically go through the submission process as a fiscal agent and as a CPIT administrator. So you can access that if that applies to you. This is a follow-up self-survey guide. One of the ways that you can submit, or a student can submit, a follow-up survey is by a self-survey. So we're going to go through this guide, but if you want to look at that, that link is there. This is what was mentioned earlier, the CTEIS follow-up survey of concentrators best practices 2022. In 2022, this research was done, and again, they reached out and got some of the best practices from some of the districts that did a really good job. So we'll go through that and look at that information. But if you want to take a look, it's here. In the center here are the follow-up report guides. As I stated, all the data that you enter in for the follow-up report generates these reports, or for the follow-up collection generates these reports. So these are the interpretation guides here in the center. This is the follow-up general follow-up resources. So the workshop schedule is just the training information. So So we're gonna we're gonna check back on that link. But this is just the PTD training, the ones that you're in here. That was the schedule. This is a follow-up frequently asked question document, CPID admin memo, and then the local contact memo. So we're going to go through all of the documentation that you received in your packet, but if you need to print additional copies, these links are here. These are the follow-up scripts. Again, this is the information that you should have received in your packet, but if you want to use these PDF links to print additional copies, they're here. This here is the link for the follow-up survey for the student self-survey. So if you have a student that is going to complete a self-survey, you would click on this or provide this link or this web address, and they will enter in their survey PIN, and then it would generate their information, and they can do their surveys by themselves online. So let's go back here. Let me see. One second. Okay, so if you click this link here, you're going to see this page. And this is the student self-survey homepage. The student will enter in their survey PIN, PIN, and that's a PIN number that you will provide. They would hit the submit button and it would generate the self-survey for them to fill out. If you look over here in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a question mark here. If you click this link, or if you're instructing them to click this link, they can click it and they will be navigated to the self-survey guide. So basically this lays out all of the information that they would need to know in order to complete the self-survey. So again, entering in the survey PIN, updating their information if necessary. They can go in and change their general information or contact information. And then it'll generate the actual survey for them. So once they get to this page in the follow-up program section, they will see a list of programs that they have completed. And each program that have been completed has a corresponding survey link. So they're allowed to complete a survey depending on the type of program that they want to discuss for this survey period. So then they would go in and just select their responses, and then they can submit this, and then it will generate a record in the CTEIS application and indicate that they have completed by self-survey. So we're going to go through this a little bit more in the guide, but this is the self-survey option if you want to take a look at this information. So all of that information that I just went through could be found at studentfollowup.cteis.com. That is the self-survey portal link. This down here is the follow-up training videos. There are additional training videos that are available other than the webinar that we're doing today. So if you want to take a look at those videos, you can follow this link. The agenda that I discussed earlier can be found here. And then once we upload the training webinar, it's going to be located here. So that's all of the information that's on the homepage. Just kind of broken down what you can find on here. We're going to go through and point out some points in some of these manuals and some of these guides, and then we'll take you through the demos in just a second. So the first thing I want to do is go to the follow-up instructional guide. Okay, so this is the follow-up instructional guide. And this is just, again, the information about the support help that's available, technical support, as well as reporting policy help. Table of contents. And then this general CTEIS information. So again, like I stated earlier, to access CTEIS, the CTEIS application and input any survey entries, you would have to have My Login for third party. So if you have not received your My Login credentials, this is just information on how to follow the steps to get that access. And then this is the introduction. It was covered earlier in the OCTE presentation, but just to kind of overview this part here. Again, the follow-up survey or the follow-up report is a survey of CTE program concentrators. It focuses on the students' continued use of CTE skills after leaving secondary education. So the data that you collect is designed to aid school and program improvement, assist with program review considerations by answering questions such as, are concentrators finding jobs or education in a related field? It also indicate Perkins 5 core performance placement, and then factors into reviews of added cost rankings. Again, this information here can be downloaded and you can review this information on your own, but this is the guide that breaks up all of the follow-up process, and it has the instructional details on how to access the CTEIS screens. So just to kind of briefly just kind of paraphrase through this, I picked out some important points. So the Office of Career and Technical Education, or OCTE, mandates and monitors the follow-up survey. OCTE also funds a Survey Support Center, which is also referred to SSC, to handle the flow of survey data to and from fiscal agencies, and can answer some questions pertaining to the follow-up collection. So we have a portion on the SSC, and I'll get to that information in just a minute. The follow-up survey population is based on concentrator counts. To ensure that students complete multiple programs are only counted once, CTE collects unduplicated concentrator names after the spring enrollment and completion collection report. So the past year's completion and collection report is the information that you're using for this follow-up survey. CTEIS provides a follow-up listing identifying all students in a CTE program organized by operating building. Students are listed according to their most recently completed program as reported on the enrollment completion collection report. In case of students who have completed multiple programs, CTEIS will link concentrators to a default program of study. However, the student may select any one program to discuss when they are interviewed. And we'll show that a little bit later when we get into our demo. So again, the whole follow-up process is district officials interview CTE concentrators, and concentrators are categorized as those who earn 8 or more segments or 2 PCCs, which is the Perkins Core Performance Indicators, or Perkins Core Competencies, and have left school. That's concentrators. You're going to focus on wage earning programs, and that's going to be not the family or consumer science. And then telephone, mail surveys each have their own individual forms. And again, I'll show those forms in just a minute, but you're going to use those forms to complete the survey. The data is then compiled into the CTEIS application when you enter in that information, and then submit that information to your level 5 fiscal agents. And then the level 5 fiscal agent submits that information to the CPID admin, and then the CPID admin submits that information to the state. So that's kind of basically what this information is talking about here. But again, this information can be downloaded if you want to use this for your records later. So again, I said that I would be discussing the services in the support center. So the Survey Support Center provides a variety of services for the follow-up collection. They can answer questions related to the follow-up survey forms. They can offer suggestions for solving your problems you may have while conducting your survey. They may be able to provide advice for conducting an efficient and effective follow-up survey. And also provided in this manual are several items that further assist you in the follow-up process. So a definition of terms is found in this document. The authority to collect career and technical education data is found in this document. I'll show you where those are. A memorandum or a memo from the Attorney General authorizing the follow-up study, and then sample cover letters for both the mail-in survey and for non-respondents. So these are samples that you may be able to use as a guide or use for your communication with students who are going to be completing surveys by mail, or for those that you aren't able to reach the non-respondents. Another documentation just stating that help is available. And this just gives the 2023-2024 follow-up timeline. So we have already discussed the dates, but this is just here again for your convenience. So now we're into the steps for success. So you are completing your 2023-2024 follow-up report of 2022-2023 concentrators. So this is a step-by-step process. And the first step that you want to do is to review your follow-up packet. So again, if you haven't received, you should, but you will have a follow-up packet. If you received it, you can just make sure that you see all of the documentation in it. So the following items will be included in your follow-up packet and should be sent to each local follow-up contact person. So the memo from the Office of Career and Technical Education is there, the memo from the Survey Support Center, a workshop schedule, one copy of each survey form, that's the introductory script, the student survey, the proxy survey, and the mail survey. And you can again use those for duplication processes or purposes. So if you want to make copies. The 2023 CTEIS Follow-up Data Submission Guide. This is the guide that we're going through now. So you should have a copy of this in your packet. And then the protocol manual should also be in your packet. And just a special note here, the CTEIS student listing provides information about the students you are responsible for calling and concentrator counts by program. So all the materials, including survey forms, the protocol manual, and the CTEIS instructional guide are published on the CTEIS knowledge base again. So if you want to make additional copies, it's there. And you can also use the OCTE website to get additional follow-up information. So step one was review your packet. Step two is to generate your follow-up listing. So this is a step-by-step guide just to show you how in the CTEIS application to access your student listing. I will show this in the demonstration that we do a little bit earlier when we go on our training site. But this is just letting you know that you can go in as a building reporter status, and access the list of students that you need to have follow-up surveys for. You can also export your follow-up list to an Excel export that will generate that information in an Excel document that you can print. So we'll show you where to get that follow-up listing, but you want to generate your follow-up listing as step 2. Step 3 is to review your follow-up listing. So as I stated in the information that I read in the introduction, your student follow-up list is generated to correspond with the buildings you selected on the follow-up buildings screen. So when you get into CTEIS and you're in your follow-up portion, the follow-up list is generated by building. So the students you are responsible for surveying within each program are determined based on the unduplicated concentrator counts found on your 2023 enrollment and completion collection report. The follow-up list you retrieve from CTEIS represents the accurate student count for 2022-2023. CTEIS performed a verification process based on student UICs to eliminate students who may have been reported more than once on the statewide 2023 enrollment and completion collection report. So if a concentrator is listed within multiple buildings, prioritize the building that contains the program the student participated in. So if you, for whatever reason, get your follow-up listing and you feel that you're missing students, CTEIS also allows you to generate a list of concentrators from your district who do not appear on your follow-up list. So CTEIS assigns these students to another district for follow-up, often because their classes were hosted by an operating building within that district. So again, if there's students that you feel you cannot find on your listing, concentrators from another district report may be something that you want to look into. So CADR, and I'll show you where that information can be found when you get into this, when we get into our demos, but you may find your concentrators there. Okay, another reason you may not be able to find students on your follow-up listing is the grade level changes and then the exit status. So you want to make sure that your students did leave school and they did meet the qualification as concentrator status. And then again, if you still see that there are students that have met those terms, but you still don't see them on your follow-up listing, check the concentrators from another district report. If they're not there, then you can reach out to the help desk. So again, this is if you generate your follow-up report listing of students and there are students that are missing, this is the information that you want to refer to first. Okay, so step 4 is to conduct the actual follow-up survey. So this is information on how to get yourself prepared with all of the documentation that we're kind of going through. So you want to make copies of several copies of each survey form. That's the student survey form, the proxy survey form. You want to put the student's name and program onto the intro script. So you want to make copies of the intro scripts as well. Once you generate your copies, you can organize the information before you start making your calls or reaching out to concentrators. So this is just information to get you prepared for the actual follow-up process, the survey process. So after you've made several copies and you've identified the students with your follow-up listing that you've received on the CTEIS application, and you've put the student's name and program on the intro scripts, you can get ready to, if you're doing phone surveys, you can get ready to ask the questions that are on the surveys. We're going to get into the survey demonstrations in just a minute, but you can start the actual survey process. So that's what conduct the survey is. Step 5 is entering that survey data once all of the surveys have been completed, whether it's by mail, by phone, by self-survey, or by proxy. You can enter in that survey data into CTEIS. So this just gives a breakdown of how to do that. And again, we're going to go through this in our demonstration, but if you want step-by-step instructions, it's here in this guide. And it gives an example of what you may see once you get into the application. Again, if a student or if a concentrator completes a self-survey, I showed you that self-survey portal. But what you're going to do is you'll give that information that we showed. I'll head back over there for just a minute. So I'm going to change my screen back to So this is our follow-up homepage. Again, I'm talking about the student self-survey. So this is the link that you want to provide to the students who will complete the self-survey. This is, if you click this link, the student will see this screen. They can enter in their PIN. If they click over here, again, you can click this, and they will be directed to a guide that will outline all of the information for the self-survey. So after all of the survey responses have been entered into CTEIS, this is all information outlining how to do that. The next step will be to complete the report. So this is where, as a building reporter, I would go in, verify that all of the concentrators that I have within the district and that are on my student list have completed a follow-up survey, whether it be, again, by phone, by mail, by student survey, or by proxy. I want to make sure that all of the follow-up surveys have been submitted into the system, and then I can complete that report and send it to the fiscal agent review. And then the fiscal agent will review that information and then send to the CPID administrator for submission to OCTE. So that's step 7. And then again, step 8 is the results. All of the information that is obtained through the follow-up collection generates the reports. And then the reports will be available for download in late February So once all of the information from the follow-up collection have been submitted, those reports are generated, and then you can access that information in late February after that collection period. This here is just additional information, terms and abbreviations for different things that you may see within the instructional guide that you may not be familiar with. Due dates, additional definitions. Again, a concentrator is a student who has successfully completed with a grade of 2.0 or better courses totaling 8 segments of instruction. Concentrators on your follow-up list that has left school, or for the Perkins Core competencies, 2 PCCs. So that's to be identified as a concentrator. So that's who you are surveying. This here is the document that I was referring to, the authority to collect career and technical education data. So that information is there. This is the memo from the Attorney General. And then this is the sample cover letter for mail surveys. So if you want to use this as a guide for your mail surveys to contact your concentrators, you can use this. This is available. And then this is a sample cover letter for non-respondents. So if you want to use this as a guide to contact those who are not responding to your attempts at collecting a survey, you can use this. And then this here is an example letter to access the self-survey. So if you want to fill in the student's information, program information, the date that you want to choose to, or the date that they need to submit this survey by, you can send this along with their PIN number and the survey link, and this would be all of the information they would need to complete a self-survey. This is also a QR code that will link them to the self-survey guide. So this is an example of a self-survey memo that would go out for students to complete self-surveys. Okay, so this is again all of the information. We will get into all of where you can access the PIN numbers and all of that documentation in just a minute when we get to our demonstrations. I'll show you where you can find those. But we're going to just go over just to show you where the protocol manual can be found. So as you're going through your surveys, you want to make sure that you're following the appropriate protocol. This is a document that will be very helpful into how to train those who will be conducting the interview process for them to refer to. So this document shows the purpose, the federal and state use of the data, the importance of the information, and then the validity of the data. This here has the survey conditions, which is the targeted population. Again, who is a concentrator? Where does this information come from? And it gives the information about when the data is collected and why. So this is kind of like the why we're doing all of this document. So it's very helpful to have an understanding of that. Why just follow up concentrators? And then it has the timeline for the follow-up process. So again, this is a great document to print. This is a PDF that you can print to share with other staff who may be doing the interview process with you. So they'll have a better understanding of the protocol. So to kind of go down a little bit here, as OCTE stated in the earlier presentation, the importance of a good response rate. All of the requirements to make sure that you are meeting all of the marks for the OCTE requirements. So all of that information is found here in the protocol manual. She went through all of this information about the good times to call and how to reach out to students. So all of this is here. And the use of proxies, that information is available here. So right here, there's a few things that I'll just point out for the actual survey portion when you're collecting survey data. You want to make sure that you understand the survey forms thoroughly. You want to focus on your conversation with the respondent. You want to make every effort to interview the student. Again, as stated earlier, proxies usually have limited information. You want to vary in the ways in which you contact your concentrators. And that's the information that can be found in here, creative ways to contact your concentrators. And then you want to be consistent. Strive to maintain high standards when completing your surveys. Consistency is key in interpreting the value of the different responses that you receive. You want to follow the survey. When we show the survey, you want to follow the questions on the survey exactly. Each concentrator must be asked the same questions in the same way. Even slight deviations can change the meaning of a question or affect a respondent's answer. You want to be objective, keep your voice even, show no emotion towards the question, don't apologize or preempt a question with a comment. And you want to follow the survey script. Each item has been revised based on experience and feedback. Following the survey instructions is critical to maintaining consistency. If you are uncertain about any questions, please contact the Survey Support Center or the help desk. Once you have collected all of your survey responses, you want to check your work, check through your forms before you hang up with the concentrator, review any items on the survey form that you may have skipped. And then you want to stay in contact with your staff just in case you may have questions or you are unsure how to code an item on a survey. So that's going to bring us to the survey instructions. This here is a survey introductory script. So as I was stating, you would follow this exactly. So if you're conducting, for instance, a phone survey, you would start out by saying, hello, this is, and state your name, from, is, and then insert the concentrator's name there. And then if the student answers the phone, hi, how are you? And then this is where you may have to learn a little bit of the actual survey script and kind of memorize it, because depending on your follow-up student listing, the concentrator may have one single program that you're going to collect survey information for, or they may have multiple programs. So you want to make sure that you follow one of these scripts, depending on which one fits best. So if the student was only in one single program, you would say, in this grade, you achieved the concentrator status in a program in blank. So you're filling in all of the program information that you got from your student listing. Do you have a few minutes to answer some questions about what you're doing now? All responses will be kept confidential. Again, this is for a single program. If you're talking to a concentrator with multiple programs, you would say, we're talking with students who achieved concentrator status in more than one program in high school. Do you have a few minutes to answer some questions about what you're doing now? All responses will be kept confidential. Our records show that you completed and this is where you would enter the multiple programs that the concentrator completed. Are you pursuing one of these more than the other? And if they say yes, which one? And with that, you would say, this is the program I would like for you to think about during this interview. So even though they have several programs that they completed, they're pursuing one more than the other, and that's the program that you want to get the survey information for. If no, we can only follow up if they say or tried to talk about multiple programs. We can only follow up on one program. Which one? You can give them the choice. Would you like to think about during this interview? This script changes if you're talking to a proxy. So if it was a proxy who you would contact, this is what you would, the script you would use. We're talking with students who achieved concentrator status in high school CTE programs to see how they're doing. This student was in and then again, enter in the program. How can I reach him or her? Remember that you're trying to make the best attempt to speak to the student first. If unreachable, you can then say, you could probably answer some of the questions. It would only take a couple of minutes, and all responses will be kept confidential. So this is the introductory script. You want to make several copies, put this concentrator's name on top, so you'll have that information available when you need to speak with them on the phone interviews. or in person. So again, make sure that you make copies of those. This just lets you know that the scripts introduce the actual survey. So this is part A, which is the current status. And you would go through and ask them question one. Let's start with what you're doing now. Are you going to school or working? And then enter in the questions. So, or you would select the responses, either yes or no. For the items A through G, it's yes or no. For H, this is the other section. You may need to specify what they're doing here. So depending on the situation, there are options here on seasonal layoff, hospitalized. You would check the box here, and then you would immediately skip to part F in some of these circumstances. So that's why it's good to get familiar with the survey script as well as the surveys to kind of have a good flow of conversation with the concentrators. This document tells the purpose for asking these specific questions. So it kind of outlines all of the information for that. So this is, again, a good document that you can use to train those who will be conducting the interviews. Part B is the school and training lead-in script. So if the concentrator is taking school, you're going to ask them questions about their school, their current school situation, and then this outlines the purpose of that information. So please go back to review this information. One thing that I feel is really good is that this document gives potential problems that you may run into while you're conducting the survey. So it gives a potential problem, an example, and then a solution. So that will be very useful to kind of look through to kind of prepare yourself for the actual interview. Part C is employment. So just as school, we would like to know your employment information. Again, potential problems and solutions. It has sections where you enter in wage. And then this is, again, just information that you want to keep in mind when presenting the information. You don't want to kind of lead them into a particular answer. You want the most genuine answer you can receive about what it is that they're doing in their post-secondary careers. Okay, so part D, if they're not working, this shows what you need to do if they're not working. And then the last sections is the communication exchange. So just in case you need to contact them again for additional information, which is the best way to contact you if we need to follow up, you want to make sure that you enter in that information. And then there's a closing script. Thank you. That's all I needed. Are there any comments you'd like to make to help us improve our programs? So this just shows the results. Again, that's the reports that and the program improvement that could be generated by the responses. So it's really important to conduct the surveys. This is definitions that, again, you may come in contact with. This is just a follow-up process timeline, just kind of lay it out in a graphical kind of detail here. And then this is tips for improving response rates. So suggestions for reaching students, suggestions for handling difficult calls, refusals. If you get someone who does not want to take the survey, here are some suggestions to how to address that. And then this here is to include or exclude from pay. So include from pay, there are some bullet points if you need clarification on what's considered pay. Exclude is pay. All of the information is there. So again, this is the protocol manual, and it can be found on the knowledge base right up under the instructional guide. So this is all of the protocols to completing the surveys. Okay, So this is the home page. We're back to the follow-up home page. And again, that was the protocol manual, the instructional guide. Again, the guide for submission for CPID admin and fiscal agent can be found here. We've went through this self-survey information. We're going to click here to the follow-up surveys best practices. So again, as we stated, this is based on 2022 follow-up best practices survey results and panel discussion. So this is the teacher best practices and just gives information on what you can do to kind of make this a little bit easier. Start your follow-up survey preparation towards the end or the middle of the school year. Share your cell number with students and ask them to put in their phone contacts so they know who is calling. Use social media to stay connected to your students. Create program Facebook groups or Twitter accounts and have your students follow it. This is some of the suggestions by schools who have used these tips and have had success with them. So this here is additional information. Split the list by instructor and paraprofessionals for direct contact, using direct contact with those who have a relationship with the student and family proved to be a benefit. Send teachers a copy of the follow-up guide, stipend form, list of students to contact, and survey labels with the student name, teacher name, program, and student number. So all of this has proven to be successful. Maybe you may give them a reward. So this is some that gave teachers gift cards for the highest response rates. Require weekly updates and incentives. Do not let them know that the proxy is allowed at first because you don't want to have all proxy responses and get a low response rate. One special note that we want to make here, I added to the bottom of this is new information, is periodically the Office of Career and Technical Education will commission a verification study of the follow-up survey of CTE concentrators. The goal of this validation study is to determine whether the main survey data is reliable, and that's whether there are significant differences between the initial main survey responses and the sample responses, specifically between proxy responses and student responses. So the first thing they want you to remember is to make sure that you have reliable data. The second thing is whether the answers of those who did not respond are significantly different from those who did respond to the main follow-up survey. And then 3, whether inadequacies exist in some aspects of the survey's design. This year, OCTE has commissioned a study of the 2023-2024 follow-up survey of 2022-2023 concentrators. I see the error there. I'll make sure I'll correct that. The results of this study may be utilized to establish future proxy and response rate criteria as necessary, and to implement other enhancements in survey methodology. So you want to make sure that all of your information is reliable, the data is accurate. So when you, can you see it now? I do apologize about that. I just saw that. Okay, sorry. So this again, just to outline, this is the teacher best practices. And I kind of went through and explained some of the teacher best practices that are available. The best practices that are mentioned here for staff. And then the special note that I was just reading from here can be found in this document at the bottom. So again, as I was stating, this year there will be a validation study. So please make sure that all of your information is accurate and verified when you submit your information. Again, I did see the error in the 2022-2023. I'll make sure that I correct that and upload that information. But just wanted to make a special note from the Office of Career and Technical Education on the validity of your information. Okay, so again, this is the best practices document. This is on the knowledge base. Here at the bottom, right up under the self-survey guide, you can click this, and that's the link that I was just reading from. Again, this is the report interpretation guides. So it breaks down what all of the reports contain once you enter in your information. The XO 610 is a placement report of concentrators by program. The XO 611 report is education by employment comparison. So it gives information for that. And then the follow-up report for the T1608 is the career and technical education follow-up report. So all of these reports will be available once all of the follow-up data have been submitted into the system. Again, they said about February or late February. Again, this information over here is just the information that was found in your packets. So if you want to look at, for instance, frequently asked questions for your follow-up, that's over here. But again, this should be in your packet. The CPID admin memo, and that's from the Survey Support Center. You should have received this in your packet, but it's here. And then the local contact memo from OCTE is here as well. Again, these are the intro scripts, that I showed earlier. The survey for the student, the survey for the proxy, and then the mail survey. Again, you can use these to print and print several copies so that you can conduct the survey. This is the student self-survey portal, and then the other information. So right now we're going to take just a 10-minute break, and we're going to, after we come back from break, we're going to do our demonstration on train.ctis on how to enter in your survey materials. So I'm going to put up our counter here, and that way you will know how much time we have. So give me 1 second to switch my screen. Okay, so this is our timer. We're going to take 10 minutes break, and then when we come back, we're going to go into our demonstration, and then after that, we'll be done with all of the materials. So this counter, I'm going to start it now, and we'll be back in 10 minutes. I'll drop that in the chat for others who may not be with us right now. So I'm going to start this, and we'll see you in 10 minutes.
everyone wins because you get the same great prices, deals, and rewards no matter how you shop.
We're back. We're back. Okay. So on your screen, you should see the train.cetis.com homepage. I'm just dropping it in the chat here. Okay, so this is the training site. Again, this is a image, or I would say a mirror image of the actual CTEIS application. It may look a little different and the capabilities is a little different, but most of the information that we're going to go through today will mirror what you see in the actual application. So if you scroll down, again, you can access the documentation by clicking on the links. For this particular period, we are using the follow-up documentation. So if you click that, you should be linked to the knowledge base for all of the follow-up docs that we went through earlier. On the side panel here is all of the dates, again, from OCTE for the reporting collections. So that's there for your convenience. I'm going to log in with credentials as a building reporter. So over here in the corner, again, if this is your first time doing a collection, it would say log in using my login. You would then be redirected to the my login for third party verification process. And then you would then end up back here at the CTEIS application. But for this one, I'm just going to log in using my credentials. And it just takes me right into the application because this is a demo. Again, if you have my login access and you want to practice these techniques in the training site without messing up your actual data, you can do that using your my login access and entering the information entering in your credentials at train.cetis.com. So we're going to go to data entry. And for this one, we're going to pick follow-up. So as a building reporter, you see all of the collection periods that I have access for. So the level 5 fiscal agent authorized official has granted access for enrollment. So I can go through and review the enrollment. I have expenditures access. So the expenditure information is over here, but this particular collection is follow-up, and that's in the center. So I'm going to go to the follow-up link, and I'm going to click this here. I'm sorry, you can hear me now, correct? Thank you. Okay. All right. So this is the follow-up homepage. As a building reporter, I only have access to this Breckenridge Community Schools. And it shows over here, the student count was 23. The building is Breckenridge High School, and it shows that I only have one building. So if I want to select this building and then go down to the bottom here and select a follow-up list report, I can generate a report for the item that I selected, and then CTEIS would load that follow-up list report that you would need with your student information on there. So this is the report. So this is the follow-up student list for 2024. It lists the building, the student's name and information for Breckenridge High School. All of this column right here says initial. INIT stands for initial survey. So these are the students that need to be surveyed. It says the program name, the PSN, the SIP, the sending facility. So all of the information is here. I can print this by using the print capabilities up here. And that information I can use for my records. So it gives the phone number, the student name, and the UIC. For a follow-up list export, same technique applies, just select and then hit the follow-up list export down at the bottom. And then I can export this information into an Excel document. So let's see if I can pull this up here. Just 1 second as I'm getting my screen together. Sure, I'll go back in just a second. Yep, I see the comment that to go back to the other screen. Sure. Okay. All right. So, okay, I'll do that. I'll go back. 1 second. Okay, we're back. So this again is the okay. So this is where I was before. This is the selection. This is the building that I selected that I want to generate a follow-up list report for. So select that, and then I can select follow-up list report here. And then this is the follow-up list report through CTEIS, student list for 2024. Okay. Okay, so it looks like there may be some technical issues. We're going to get this information and get back to you on that. I do apologize. We'll get back to you at ASAP. Okay, thank you. All right, so that's that. Thank you for letting us know. Okay, and then this one is the export to Excel document. And then I was, okay, thank you. All right, so they're working on it. Thank you for that information. Okay, so this is the Excel export. So we're going to click Excel, and I'm going to open this file in the Excel export. Okay, so hopefully you can see the Excel export of the list. So it shows the UIC under column B, the last name, first name, that's column C and D, the PSN, that's the program serial number under column E, and then the program name under column F. We're going to slide over, and under column M here, if you kind of pull it open there, those are your survey pins. So when the concentrators need to complete a self-survey and you want to provide the pin numbers for them to do that, that's the pin numbers that you can use there under column M. There's also additional information, the emails, the phone numbers, the address, and all of that information can be used. Here under column W, it states the actual survey status. So for this particular survey, all of these have been completed. I have a completed non-contact here. I have a 1, 2, 3 that I need to complete. So it just shows the survey status here. And then when the survey was completed. So all of these surveys were completed yesterday. And then it also has exit date. So all of this can be useful for you to review. Again, if there are any discrepancies in your list and you can't find names, again, you want to make sure that you check if the students did leave school. You want to also check, this is B, did they meet concentrator status? And then C, you want to refer to the concentrators in another district report. So let me close out here. Oh, multiple program and column AA on the end here. Yeah, multiple program column. Yep, on the end there. Okay, so let me get back, and so my screen just just give me a second to open back up the training site. I am still here. So what I was stating was, if you want to view the candidates in another district report, you click this button here. That's the CADR. And that's, again, if there's any discrepancies in your follow-up list. But this is the list that you can generate to conduct your surveys. Okay, so when you're ready to, so let's say you have already conducted your surveys, all of your surveys have, whether it been mail, whether it be a self-survey, or whether you conducted phone surveys, and you're ready to enter that information into CTEIS, you would click on the phone icon here. And this just shows all of the students that I have, again, 23 for the selection that I made. This is by building. So it shows that these have already been completed. Again, this COMP stands for completed. The COMPNC stands for completed, but the student is a non-contact. So complete non-contact. So I went through and said, I have reached out to the student on a couple different occasions and I cannot contact the student. So I'm going to enter in that student as a completed non-contact. Again, not the first option, but that is there. Now, let's say, for instance, if you want to go back in, let's say you do end up contacting that student that's identified as completed non-contact, a feature here in CTEIS will allow you to update that student information even though they're marked as completed non-contact. That screen will open for you to be able to enter in survey results. Okay, so if I did end up reaching out and getting the student information, I can go back in and begin survey and enter in the survey information. But as of right now in the system, this student with this UIC, I said unable to locate, and I saved it in the system. So the reasons are here. You have several reasons that you can choose from: disconnected, no phone, other, refused, and the one that I selected was unable to locate. So if you cannot contact the student, that status will appear here. Okay, so all of these are completed. We have a completed non-contact, and then down here at the bottom, I have 3 under the initial survey status. So I'm going to select this one here. And it shows that I can now put in that information. So according to my student list, I have this student's name and UIC, and I need to enter in information. Again, I can go in and change the phone number or email or add additional information if I need to. I'm going to hit begin survey, and we're going to do a survey demonstration for this student. So I've collected this information and it's already handwritten on the survey form. And now I'm going in to plug in the survey results. So as you see, this student is in one program, and that's the agricultural operations. So it's only giving me one option here. So I'm going to select this program, PSN, and then I'm going to select the type. I actually spoke to the student, so I'm going to select student. So the others would apply. If you spoke to a proxy, a mail by student, or mail by proxy, you would select the appropriate. So as we did our demonstration in our actual surveys, we're going to key in, or I would say select the survey response for all of the questions that we asked in our survey previously. Again, this is once we have collected all of that information and we have it organized, we're plugging in that information into the system now. So I'm just going to give a demonstration here. Yes, for attending a school or college. No. Working. Yes. No, not in the military. No for this one. No for this one. And no for this one. So part A, because I entered in these responses, is going to open these 2 part B and C here, because it's going to ask me about school and training, because I indicated that the concentrator is attending school or college. And I also indicated in 1C that the concentrator is working. So I'm going to go through and select the responses that the concentrator gave me. Going to school. What program are you in? One second. I do see the question in the chat. If it's not confirmed, I'll make sure I look into that. So here it's asking me to enter in how many hours do I work, because I indicated that I work. And then this is closed. Now let's say if I didn't specify how many hours, if the concentrator didn't give me a specified amount of hours, I can select this one here. Would you say it's 35 hours a week or more? Yes. I can specify here. So again, this is all based on the survey responses. Okay, so let's try this. See, this is seeing that this is not that's a low amount, so it's giving you a flag there. This was a phone interview and the date of today. This was completed today, but you can select the date that you need to select here for the completion. Again, that communication exchange at the end, what is the best way to contact if follow-up is needed? You can enter in information here. You can enter in additional information if you want to make notes about the job title and the location, the area of study, and then additional comments. So all of these can be, these are typable fields. And so if I'm done, I can complete the survey. And as you can see, this one is now completed. You can go in and review or redo. You do have the option to do both. Or you can just close and cancel, and it'll take you to the next, it'll take you to the next concentrator on the list here. So I'm just gonna work through some of these just as an example. So this one shows that it has 2 programs for this concentrator. The proxy, let's see this. So because all of these were no, they're not working, they're not in the military, they're not in school, it's going to ask me to select a reason. So now all of these columns have closed. It will ask, are you currently looking for work? And in this case, we'll select yes. And then again, just select how the method of contact was. You can enter in additional information and then hit the complete survey. So again, that status is completed, close and cancel, and it'll take me back to the next one. I have one more here. Okay, so I have completed all of the surveys for this particular building. It was 23 students, and now all of the surveys have been entered into the system. Again, you can sort. CTEIS gives the sorting features if you need to look for a particular program name, a specific UIC, last name or first name, or PSN, completion date. You can look all of that. This is the survey completion date. You can look for all of that information by sorting at the top here. So I have completed that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the data entry, and I'm going to select building follow-up review. Since I have reviewed all of my material and all of my survey responses are in the system, I'm ready to submit. So this is now the completion and submission portion. So you can go through and review. So by clicking view, it will show you that you have none that you need to survey. You have completed 22 surveys. None of them was a self-survey. One of them was a completed non-contact. Again, the total being 23. That's an 100% Completion, proxy, there were 3 proxies, and then the proxy percentage was 13. If I want to export this data, I can again export this data into an Excel document that I can keep for my records. But if I'm ready to go ahead and submit, I can hit the complete button. So the question is, do you always select the program listed on the top when a student has multiple programs? Yes, this when you're completing the surveys, you want to indicate the one that the student talked about in the survey. So when you enter it, or you're talking to them on the phone, you're going to have them select a particular program that they want to think about, and that's the one that you're going to enter in the survey responses for. So yes, it is have to be a program selected. Okay, so I have completed my task as a building reporter. The X in the building status column indicates that that building is complete. I'm going to now log off as a building reporter, and I'm going to log in as a fiscal agent and CPIT admin credentials. So as you can see, as a fiscal agent, this admin here is available. And as a fiscal agent, I'm going to go down here to district follow-up review. And as you can see, the information here is that the building reporter has sent this to the fiscal agent. So if I need to return this and open this building back up to the building reporter, I can hit this return button, and then it will open up the permissions for the building reporter again. But as a fiscal agent, I can view the same building, and it will pull up all of the information that it did for the building reporter. And if everything is accurate and all of the information is entered in, I can then hit the complete button. And now it has closed for the fiscal status. And then now I'm going to go in as a CPIT admin, and there's the follow-up review here. So CPIT follow-up review is what I'm going to select. And for this one, I have to select a district. So that was the Breckenridge Community Schools. And it pulls up that the fiscal status is there. So this fiscal agent has submitted the documentation. Again, CTEIS will attempt to contact the fiscal agent or the CPIT admin, but sometimes that notification may be not seen. So we would encourage you to reach out to the fiscal agent and as a building reporter and let them know that you've submitted that information, as well as the fiscal agent to the CPIT administrator, and let them know that you've submitted the information. But if you need to return it to the fiscal as a CPIT administrator, you can. You can view and print. If you need to review this documentation and you want to keep this for your records, you have that feature available to you. But if you're all set to go, you can complete. And now it's completed at all of the statuses here. So now this is submitted to the Office of Career and Technical Education. And at this point, the whole process has been completed for the follow-up review. And so this is the end of the process for the review. So I'm going to log off here, and I'm going to go back to the home page of our documentation. And show you where this information is. So again, the instructional guide can be found here. The protocol manual that we went through with the survey example can be found here. The OCTE PowerPoint, we're going to make sure that those are updated and posted here. The follow-up review guide for the process that I just went over for the fiscal agent as well as the CPIT administrator can be found here. If the student concentrator is doing a self-survey, the guide is here. This here is the best practices. So some suggestions to maybe look at or consider for your follow-up collection period. All of the data that you submit into the system generates the reports. So these reports are these are the interpretation guides. And again, these reports will be made available once all of the data has been collected. And again, that's about end of February or mid-February, I believe it says. So once all of that information is in, that's there. This is just additional resources over here on the side. Again, all of this information should have been in your packet that you received, but if you need to make additional copies, those are here, as well as the scripts where you can make additional copies. These are PDFs that you can print. This is the student self-survey portal. I showed where you can get the PIN number to put into, we're going to share here, the survey PIN, and this will generate a survey for the student, and then the student can select the program that they're going to do their follow-up survey on. So then the student will then complete that survey, and then it will be as a record in the CTEIS system once they submit that survey report online. These here are the training videos. There are videos available other than this webinar. So if you want to see the videos, you can do that. The training agenda is here. And then once we post the webinar, it'll be here in this link. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and I'm going to go back to the agenda. So we went through all of the points here, and just again, looking ahead. Again, just the expenditure report is due November 2nd to the CPIT administrator. So the fiscal agent submit to the CPIT administrator by November 2nd. The CPIT administrator submits to OCTE by November 9th. That's for the expenditure report, okay? Looking ahead towards the follow-up report, this is the process that we just went through. The fiscal agent submits to the CPIT administrator January 11th, 2024, and then the CPIT administrator submits to OCTE January 18th, 2024. So this is all of the information that we have for this collection period. We're going to now, at the end of this training session, you will be prompted to fill out a survey. We would really appreciate your survey responses. It's on the, it basically gives us the feedback on the surveys, on the webinars that we present. So we would really appreciate your responses. So again, once I end this session, you will be prompted to fill out some questions about the training session, and we would really appreciate if you did that. If you cannot wait until we end the session, we can get you the link. We'll drop it down in the chat, and then you can use that link to fill out the survey. Again, we would really appreciate it. But this concludes the information that we have for the follow-up training. We will stay on to answer questions that you may have. I believe there were a few questions that I still need to get answers to, so I will work on that, but I'll stay on to answer any additional questions. Thank you all. Thank you for your time and attention. And this is the end of this training session, training season for 2023. So we'll see you next year in 2024. So we thank you for your time and attention, and we'll remain on for just a minute. Thank you. Thank you. There's a question in the chat. There's a district that's only showing 6 students. I would reach out to the help desk in that, and I have copied this, and we'll look into it as well. But I will reach out to the help desk. I'll let them know